So today's ride is going to be through the Strafford, Missouri area. Strafford is a growing town with new subdivisions. And it's basically a suburb of Springfield, Missouri now. Just east of Springfield on Interstate 44. It's a good place to ride. Relatively flatter, but there's some good climbs in the area too. And there's lots of bikes, so that's always good. So I've lived in Strafford most of my life. I was born in St. Louis, moved to the Strafford area when I was about 5 years old. And then after I graduated, I moved to Chicago for a dozen years until I came back here. And I've watched it go from a small town to now the area is becoming more and more industrial. So they put together a lot of plans to attract businesses here, and it seems to be working. And now the population growth is starting to follow. So this used to be a quiet overpass a couple years ago. Well, probably a little bit longer, 3 or 4 years ago. And then Buc-ee's decided to move in. So this is probably the most dangerous portion of this ride, because you get the tourists coming in here that are clueless about these roundabouts, and they want to leave Buc-ee's, and they're in a hurry to get back on the highway. So you gotta be careful. I've had some close calls, that's for sure. You definitely don't want one of these moved into your neighborhood if you're a cyclist. So I'm riding today on my new giant PCR, the 2024 Advanced Pro. It's the frame that's been built up, so it was sold as just the frame. I bought it from Cycle Limited. They are a used bike shop on the internet. So, first time I bought from them, the bike showed up, looked like it was in good shape, but then under further, closer review, I noticed the wheel had a crack in it from shipping. And Michael over there at Cycle Limited did a really good job of providing customer service and make sure that I was taken care of. So, appreciate you, Michael. And the bike is great. So if you're from out of town and you want to ride in the Springfield area, this is also a good place to start. And you'll see the bike signs. So the bikes are welcome on the roads I'm riding right now. And you'll see a lot of cyclists along the way on a good day. So my grandparents lived just north on that road back there, Farm Road 205, when we were growing up. And what I like about this area is that it kind of looks the same that it did 50 years ago. There's some new houses, but the sprawl hasn't hit it yet. But I am kind of worried in the next few years you're going to start seeing it get built up, because everything's coming this way. And that has an impact on where you bike. So we are now entering into Strafford, Missouri. There's probably close to 2,000 people living in this town now. So I'm riding alongside I-44 right now. This is the most unpeaceful part of this ride. It's kind of noisy. You go straight out of the country and then along interstate for about a mile. Unless you go further into Northview, which you get is the Northview Hill, which is a good climb. So a good rule of thumb for cyclists in this area, east of Springfield, along the Greene County, Webster County line is, if you want to stay on asphalt, stay in Greene County. If you like gravel, Webster County has plenty of it. And if you're on a road bike, if you stray off the main roads, you're probably going to hit gravel. I call that place the home of the best onion rings in the world. So darn good. Joe's Drive-In on Route 66. And Strafford is a Route 66 town, so you'll probably see that as we go through the town. I graduated from high school here in 1989. School looks the same but different. They've made some additions to it. Turn the elementary up here to my right there, into the high school to expand the size of the high school. So now the elementary's here on my left. And there's the middle school. So, lots of new school buildings. So we're about to head into the downtown area of Strafford. It's actually in the Ripley's book of Believe It or Not for having a town with two front sides. So I'll kind of show it to you. So when you look at this building, it has front doors there. And when we go to the other side of it, we also see front doors. So Ripley put it in his book. And now I'm getting on Route 66 for a short time. But there's the building, and these were considered front doors too. And there's Papa's ice cream, which we absolutely love. To my left is the original Strafford schoolhouse, North Star School. So Strafford's getting a lot of these new neighborhoods like this, new subdivisions come on. And there's one just down the road from this, from where we just turned, that's going in. That's going to be big. So it's seen a lot of growth. So now we're headed to the east side and actually hold the king of the mountain on this, one of these segment stretches on this road. But to be honest with you, had a nice tailwind. Actually did it on a giant Defy too, so not that those are, you know, bad bikes, because they're really good bikes, but they're not a true racing bike. Although I can't say that because it did win the Paris-Roubaix. So the ride from Springfield to Strafford, it's pretty flat. I mean, it's a slow elevation climb, but you know, nothing you really notice. You know, you might if the wind is blowing against you, because there is quite a difference in elevation between Strafford and Springfield, over 100 feet. So, but you're not going to feel that immediately. But Strafford area does have some epic hills, epic climbs, and you've got to go east of Strafford towards the Webster County line to get to them. And they're usually around rivers and creeks, like the James River. So, you know, there's some really good climbs in here that it probably doesn't necessarily get credit for, because everybody goes to the south side of Springfield to ride the big ones. This is one of my favorite sections of this ride, and it's got a nice little climb. Not a big one, but still kind of a little challenge at the end of it. A little more short footing right through here. It's really gorgeous through here. How's it going? He just made the video. Must have got his first car. He's probably just turned 16. It's about 10% grade here. So riding these roads, you know, they kind of stir up a lot of ghosts. You know, I started riding in '83, and there was another kid had the same free spirit bike as I did, and it was all, you know, had all these gadgets on it. But next year, this kid showed up with a black Peugeot road bike. Beautiful bike. And he was talking about his first race in Springfield, the Bombay Bicycle Club race, and how cool it was to race. And he was a year older than me. And man, I was jealous of that black Peugeot. It was cool. Kind of electric blue. Kind of the same color as this bike. Graphics on it. And of course it was French. So that was cool. And so I was always kind of very jealous of this bike, man. So I worked hard that summer, mowed lawns, and convinced my parents to let me buy my first road bike, a 1984 Raleigh Olympian. And you know, we kind of created a frictional, tension-filled friendship, I would say. I mean, I was always very jealous of his riding capabilities and everything. We would ride together, but he always was a little bit better than me. So there's always that tension. His name was Keith Owen. I don't know what happened to him. But, you know, Keith was always very into the science of cycling. Probably the first person I knew that was. I mean, you know, he told me carbon fiber bikes were coming in '85. I had no clue even what that was. Now I'm riding, now I've owned multiple ones. Lots of them. But, you know, he always had the better equipment than I. Always stronger. But you know, after high school, he kind of just disappeared, so I don't know what happened to Keith. Hope he's doing well, though. Hope he's still riding. Because I look back on that, you know, the tension of that friendship very fondly, because I think it kind of drove me and made me a better cyclist. And when I started to race, I was kind of used to those attitudes in the, you know, in the local peloton. So Keith, wherever you're at, hope you're doing well, dude. So we've almost got our loop done. We're getting ready to come up on Danforth Cemetery. Up here on the left is an old Civil War house that was important during the war. I don't know the exact story, but if I remember right, Union troops stayed there right before the Battle of Wilson's Creek. So you'll start seeing some of that stuff here on the left. If you look way up on the hill over here, right over my shoulder, I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, you can see it back there. That's an old Civil War house. Up here on the left is Danforth Cemetery. My great-grandparents were buried there. They were actually hit and killed by a train around in the 1930s in Strafford, where 125 and Route 66 meet. So we're in the final mile or two of this ride, depending on where I could take it. But we pretty much got our loop done of Strafford. We hardly got passed by a car this ride. That's not normal, but at the same time, you don't see a lot of traffic doing this loop. Now I do fear that's going to change as more and more neighborhoods are developed around here, which is coming, but it's still a really good place to ride while having to deal with a lot of distracted drivers. So anyway, wherever you're riding today, hope you're enjoying your ride, and we'll see you next time.
A lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays.